Hi, I'm Bill Johnson, Featherweight guy. I thought it might be interesting to show you a little bit about how many parts are actually in one of these machines. I have here on my left a 1939 Singer Featherweight. This is probably my favorite era of the Featherweights. Again, this is now, 6 years after its introduction. And they had worked out some changes. The Singer Featherweight, over its 37-year period, continued to evolve. There are small changes throughout the life of the thing. My favorites are the ones just before the war, like this one here. I actually put names on my machines. This one is Martha. I try to use the names of the original owners, and in this case, this is the name of the person that bought this particular machine originally in 1939. And what I like about these pre-war machines is they have a lot more chrome on them than the later machines. The hand wheel has a chrome rim. There is a chrome plate here for the stitch length regulator. There are a number of other smaller pieces of chrome on here. And they still were using the beautiful original scroll faceplate that I like. So this is a really nice machine. And here on the other side, I have a particular machine from 1949. This is a post-war machine. Singer's Featherweight production was actually highest in the 1950s. Post-war, they switched in the late 40s to the striped or striated faceplate on the front. The hand wheel no longer has the chrome rim that you see on the earlier one, but the basic machine is essentially identical all the way through. I've taken some photos of different sub-assemblies to count up the parts, and on this particular machine, I count up a total of 236 parts that I take off on the machines when I work on them. What I don't take out is the main shaft and its gears and cams that are internal, or the bushing on the end, or this part that all the needle bar pieces attached to. I do not take out the lower shaft with its gears, or there's a shaft that goes to connect the top and bottom with the beautiful helical cut gears. So those stay in the machine. Most everything else comes apart, including the motor. And so I'm going to display some photos for you here. What I consider the body parts, the parts that bolt on the upper part of the machine. You see in this photo, there's 25 parts there. The motor assembly, to the degree I take it apart, is an additional 30 parts. Electrical components, which I consider very, very important. I insist on completely rewiring every machine that I restore. The original wiring that Singer used had a cloth insulation over rubber, both of which deteriorate. The rubber crumbles and the cloth breaks down. And so with the original wiring, the risk is much higher for there to be an electrical short. And since the Featherweight is made of aluminum, it conducts electricity very, very well. And so I consider it dangerous to leave the original wiring in a Singer Featherweight, and I always replace 100% of it. So we've got 37 components in what I consider the wiring part. Some of these connections need to be soldered to be done correctly. The connections at the light, and there's a lead that comes off the switch, both of which must be soldered to be done properly. The upper thread tension assembly is 15 parts. The bobbin parts that are underneath in the front here of the machine, and I also include in that the tension assembly for the bobbin winder. That's an additional 35 parts. The smallest and most easily lost parts of the machine are actually the tiny screws that are in the hook, and then especially the Singer bobbin case. There are 3 very small screws there, and you definitely don't want to lose those. They're hard to replace. By the way, in my work, I use only original Simanco parts. There are third-party replacements available. For example, the bobbin case, you can get third-party bobbin cases. I do not use any of those. I use only original Simanco parts. The nose part of the machine, where you have the needle bar and presser bar assembly, you can see here in that photo, there's another 26 pieces here. The underneath part, the driving mechanisms for the machine In this photo you see an additional 46 parts. And we have the foot controller here. The foot controller assembly, the way I operate on them, takes 17 pieces to get them back together. And then I have an additional count for the hull, the front table that swings up, and the badge, which I sometimes take off. That's an additional 3 parts. So my total count on everything I've just shown you is 236 parts. Again, the number's going to vary slightly. For example, this thread tension for the bobbin winder, which mounts back here on the machine. The earlier ones have 2 tension discs and a spring retainer and a screw and a nut. The later ones, the body is self-threaded, so there's no nut on the back. There's only a single tension washer rather than 2. And then by the time they get to the white featherweights in the 1960s, this is a single piece that you simply wind the thread through 2 slots to provide adequate tension. So the count of parts here is going to vary depending on what vintage featherweight you have. But I think it's safe to say that my restorations involve a minimum of 200 parts that I'm dealing with, cleaning, polishing, adjusting, reassembling, lubricating to get a Singer back together. Thank you.